Welcome to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the #1 podcast and resource for Black entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful, sustainable businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. If you're currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, you're invited to join us each and every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family and get ready to elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 581. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today's show topic is how to scale any business with micro-messaging. The money is in the messaging. How to scale any business with micro-messaging. The money is in the messaging. On today's show, I'm going to give you 5 steps to leverage the power of micro-messaging. I'm going to tell you what micro-messaging is, why most people fail to use it, and how to set up and leverage micro-messaging to scale any business. Now, before we get to today's show content, let me just share a few things with the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and resource links, such as the new revised, revamped blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com website. Guys, make sure you go to the website. We have all types of free resources to help you elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Just go to the website, blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. You'll see a tab that says Learn. Hit the Learn tab. There's a drop down. You're going to see all types of content, such as scaling your business, strategy and mindset, e-commerce, marketing, everything to help you move from point A to point B, and it is all free. So make sure you go there. Also, to any first-time listeners, please hit that subscribe button wherever you're watching this episode or listening to this episode so you'll be alerted when new episodes drop. We drop every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on all your major podcast platforms and YouTubes. So please hit that subscribe button to get this good heat from Black Entrepreneur Blueprint and myself every Monday morning. Now, let's get ready for today's show content. Today, we're going to talk about how to scale any business with micro-messaging. Yes, any business. I don't care if it is a product business, a service business, or whatever. If you use and leverage and understand micro-messaging, you're going to be able to grow and scale your business. Guys, the money is in the messaging. Now, I've said before that the money is in your database or your data, but the way you get that data, guys, is by messaging, and specifically micro-messaging. So we're going to talk about what is micro-messaging, why do you need to use it to scale, and why most people fail to use micro-messaging. I'm going to give you several real-life examples. And also, most importantly, I'm going to give you 5 steps to leverage micro-messaging to scale any business. Yes, that is any business. This is a universal concept. So let's start off with number 1. What is micro-messaging? My definition of micro-messaging may not align or line up with Webster's or the dictionary's definition of micro-messaging. But simply put, micro-messaging is speaking to each individual avatar of your product or service individually, not collectively. And we're going to get into that. Micro-messaging is speaking to each individual avatar of your product or service. So that's what micro-messaging is. You're going to have different conversations with different users of your product or service. It's just common, but a lot of people or most entrepreneurs don't use it. Okay, that's what micro-messaging is. Why do you need it to or need to use it to scale? Because when you speak a specific language for a specific customer, you're able to lock in and you're able to connect with that avatar or specific type of customer for your service or product, and you're able to speak their language. It's just like if you had a foot problem, are you going to a general doctor or are you going to go to a podiatrist? That podiatrist is speaking your language. And we're going to talk about using or having or selling the same product or service, but having different and multiple conversations with multiple avatars. Now, why do most people fail to use micro-messaging? And it's pretty simple, guys. They don't understand the value, and they think that one size fits all marketing is all they need to grow and scale their business. And that is absolutely not true. I'm going to give you some real life examples, and then I'm going to break down the 5 steps to leverage micro-messaging to scale any type of business. Now, before I start to give you 2 live or real life examples, and then break down how to leverage micro-messaging to scale any business, I forgot to mention my last week's episode number 580. Last week, I talked about transforming the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint podcast, and I'm not exactly sure what it's going to look like as we move forward. But one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten the length of the show, and I'll probably have additional content or resources for each episode. So just note that today's show is probably going to be about 25 to 30 minutes, and that's where we want to keep it from now on. So you're able to digest the information and then start to take action, because everything I talk about on the show, it's about creating actionable content to move you from point A to point B. Now, let me get back to what I was saying in reference to micro-messaging, and we're talking about how to scale any business with micro-messaging. The money is in the messaging. So I just gave you what micro-messaging is, why you need it to scale, and why most people don't use it. But let me give you a real life example. I have a friend who is a financial advisor, and what she does is she focuses on working with women. All right. Now, during a conversation I had with her last summer, I said, okay, you want to work with women, but what are the problems that you're solving? So what you really want to do is you want to get an intersection so you can specifically target your avatar. So, for example, okay, you want to work with women that are, to help them with their finances, build and grow wealth. Understood. What type of women? Okay. Are they in a specific profession? Are they entrepreneurs? What are they? Who are they? And how can you benefit, or solve their problems? So as opposed to just saying, okay, I want to work with women, you need to find out, or she needs to figure out, women with what specific problem, women with what specific industry, whatever. You need an intersection to be able to communicate specifically with them. So, for example, if I'm a financial planner for women and I want to work with Black women entrepreneurs, what are some of the intrinsic problems that I can solve for them? Okay. If it is a specific industry, if she wants to work with Black women dentists, for example, what are the problems of that Black woman dentist? Is it not having enough insurance in case of malpractice? What are the problems there? Don't lose your business because you're underinsured for your malpractice. So what I'm trying to get to you guys, and I'm just making this up on the fly, is there needs to be an intersection where you can connect and have a target avatar that is easy for you to get to. So your avatar in this example should not just be, I want to work with Black women as a financial advisor. That's fine. But what type of Black women? Are they in a specific profession? Are they in a specific situation? And what problem can I uncover and solve so I can be able to target them, right? So the more narrow your focus, the deeper you can go. So as opposed to, I want to work with Black women to help them in their finances, you have to pick out several avatars to solve problems for and then market to them. So that's example number 1. I want to give you a real life example now with my mortgage business. Any of you guys that have listened to the show for any period of time know that I was in the mortgage business years ago, and I got back into the mortgage business probably about 4 years ago. So all in, I probably got about over 18 years in the mortgage business. And when I came back this time, I wanted to have a boutique or a niche broker shop. And so I work with 4 avatars. I work with athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and real estate investors. Okay. Now, the mortgage products are the same, but the conversation that I have with each one of those avatars is totally different. And we're going to talk about the 5 steps to leverage micro-messaging to scale your business in a second. So the conversations are totally different. So if I'm speaking to an athlete, right, that's a different conversation than me speaking to an entrepreneur. Professional athletes have different intrinsic things that they deal with. So if you're a professional basketball player, the life of your career is on average, I think, about 3 to 4 years. And that's good. So if you're going to get a mortgage, you need to take that into account when you're buying a home or whatever. And so these are specific conversations that are going to be totally different than me talking to an entertainer. So when I work with entertainment clients, say singers, for example, their shelf life is a lot longer. So you have singers right now. I just went to go see Stevie Wonder last year, and he's like damn near, I think, 75 years old. I saw Gladys Knight a couple years ago. She was probably 78 then. But there's a different shelf life and there's a different conversation to each individual avatar. So if you just try to say, hey, I'm Jay Jones and I do mortgages. Hey, that's great, but you're not solving any of my problems because Jay Jones isn't being specific. He's not micro-messaging. So that conversation with that athlete is going to be different with that conversation than with that entertainer, which is also going to be different for a conversation with an entrepreneur, which is going to be different also for a conversation with a real estate investor. So for an entrepreneur, right, one of the things I focus on is alternate documentation. Sometimes entrepreneurs, especially if you work in the cash business, be it a restaurant or if you're an adult entertainer, you work in the strip clubs or whatever like that, you may get a ton of cash and you don't get paychecks. So the conversation with adult entertainers may be, hey, I see that you make a ton of money. You make $200,000 a year, but you don't really have or show your income because it's all cash. So now we can do a bank statement program that looks at your last 12 months deposits, which will give the lenders your income. So that's a totally different conversation than speaking to somebody that has a 9-to-5 job and they get a W-2 income. So I can speak specifically to adult entertainers that say work in strip clubs, men and women that are, entertainers in strip clubs. That conversation is going to be totally different. What are some of the problems for that profession? You make a lot of money, but you don't show it in terms of a paycheck, but you do show it in your bank account. So let me speak to that. Hey, tired of renting? If you're an adult entertainer and you make X amount of dollars, we can get you qualified for a mortgage based on your income from your bank statements. Things like that. We have programs for entrepreneurs that just look at profit and loss. All right. So that conversation is totally different. Now, for real estate investors, we have DSCR loans, loans that are based or predicated upon not your specific income, but the income of the property. OK. And based on your credit score determines what loan to value or what percent of the investment property we're able to finance. So once again, I work with 4 specific avatars. That doesn't mean I don't do, first time home buyers, and all the programs are the same. But the marketing and the messaging is specific to that avatar. So once again, I work with professional athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and real estate investors. Now, when I have people come to me that don't fall in those 4 categories, I still can work with them. So if somebody refers me like a family member or a friend, I do people that have W-2 income all the time. But that's not my target market. I understand the money is in the messaging. And I have to be able to speak the right language to that specific avatar to make sense and to separate myself from other mortgage brokers. Okay? So we talked about what is micro-messaging, why you need it to scale, why do people not use it, and most times they don't understand the value and they think the one size fits all. One last example before I get into these 5 steps. I talked before about a product I used to sell, which were insoles for shoes. And I got into that product because my youngest daughter, who played field hockey, both of my daughters did, had problems with her feet. And we had to get these, $350 insoles. And so when I saw that same insole that we bought from the doctor for $350 on Alibaba for like a pair was like for $6 or $7, I was like, yo, this is crazy. And so I started marketing those under my own brand name. And 3 of the avatars I were marketing to were field hockey players, waiters and waitresses, and also runners. And each of the conversations are totally different. My conversation with a field hockey player and the benefits of using these insoles, the J. Jones insoles, are totally different than the benefits of a waiter or waitress using the J. Jones insoles versus somebody that likes to run. So if you're a field hockey player, some of the benefits are, run faster, score more goals because your feet aren't hurting, be able to defend, improve your performance, For a waiter or waitress who's on their feet all day, hey, get more tips because you're not going to be frowning because your feet hurt. Be comfortable all day, be more cordial, make more money, right? And for a runner, if somebody likes to run, hey, enjoy running, improve your time, enjoy running again where your feet don't hurt, You guys get the point. It's 3 different conversations, one singular product, same product, but the conversation is different for each individual avatar. And that's what we're going to break down right now. So let's break down the 5 steps to leverage micro-messaging to scale any business. Step number 1, identify each avatar you sell to. Identify each avatar you sell to. I just gave you 3 examples right there with the insoles. Field hockey players, waiters and waitresses, and runners. Okay. Now, I could have 10 different avatars. That's fine. But you have to identify each one into and of itself and understand that each one has a language that you need to understand so you can communicate and connect with them. All right. That's step number 1. So write down on a piece of paper, whatever you sell, be it a product or service, it doesn't matter. Write down the most profitable avatars that you sell to. You may have to go back and look at your data, if you have any data, to find out who are your most profitable avatars. Many times we think it's one avatar when it's really not. So go back. If you have a history of sales records, you may find some commonality there in terms of, what's your biggest avatar, and you may want to focus on that. You don't want to go too wide because you're not going to have the bandwidth to market to each individual avatar. So step 1, identify each avatar you sell to. Step 2, what problem or problems are you solving for them? This is key. When I gave you that first example about the financial advisor that wants to work with black women, that's great. But what problems do these black women have? And how can you solve those problems? When you just talk about, hey, like me in my mortgage business, hey, I just want to work with people. What does that mean? Nothing. What people do you want to work with? What problems are you solving? Okay. So people need problem solved. They're going to pay for you to solve their problem. The bigger the problem is, the more you can charge to solve that problem. Okay. And I see this all the time. What problems are you solving for them? And people don't have an answer. So that's number 2. Number 3, what are the benefits to them when they solve their problem? List at least 3 benefits. What are the benefits to them when you solve their problem? List at least 3 benefits, and you're going to use these benefits in your marketing and your content to help attract these people, right? These avatars. So for example, say you're a CPA that works with people that haven't filed taxes in the last 3 years, and you hear a lot of these ads on radio and TV. So what problems do you solve? Number one, you're going to solve the problem to keep them from getting fined, right? Which is going to save them money. That's a benefit. Number 2, you can keep them out of jail. That's a super big benefit. Number 3, you can stop their income from being garnished. That's another benefit. You're solving these problems. And the way that you come up with that a lot of times is people always confuse features and benefits, but you ask yourself, what does that mean to the client? Hey, I can solve your tax problem. What does that mean? It means, number 1, you won't go to jail. Number 2, it means that you're not going to accrue all of this interest and not be able to pay it back. Number 3, it means that you won't get your wages garnished. So these are benefits, and you take those benefits and you use them in your marketing to attract your specific avatar that you're trying to work with. It's just common sense, right? So that's number 3. We talked about identify each avatar you sell to. Number 2, what problems are you solving for them? Number 3, what are the benefits to them when you solve their problem? You have at least have 3 of them, guys, and use that in your marketing. Number 4, create relevant content to attract each avatar. So if you guys ever heard me talk about lead magnets, these are things that make people raise their hand. Specific content. It could be a webinar, a workshop, a checklist, a tutorial, a case study, whatever it may be. This is something that taps into a problem they have that you're going to be able to help them solve. Okay? So create relevant content to attract each avatar. So for example, if in the last example I gave you about the CPA that handles people that are delinquent on taxes, he could have a checklist for the 3 things you do not do if you're delinquent on your taxes, or something like that. But once again, what that does, it identifies a specific avatar. It helps them solve a problem, and they raise their hand. Now you're able to communicate with them via micro-messaging, as we've been talking about all day. That's number 4. And number 5, you want to build a funnel or sales system speaking to each individual avatar. This is, pay attention, to each individual avatar, and you want to speak their language. So once again, I use the example of selling insoles. So you need a sales funnel for selling insoles to field hockey players. You need a separate sales funnel to sell insoles to waiters or waitresses. And you need another sales funnel to sell to runners, because all the conversations are totally different. The benefits are going to be different for each of these avatars. So the problem with most people is they have one sales funnel, and that one sales funnel doesn't fit all, because the language that you need to connect with your specific avatars is totally different than generic language. I gave you the example before. If you have a foot problem, you're not going to your general practitioner. You're going to go to a podiatrist, right? Why? Because they specialize in that problem. So a lot of marketers are lazy and they only focus on one broad message. Okay. If I'm in the mortgage business and I say, hey, I do purchases, I do refis, I do DSCR loans, I do it all. How does that separate me from anybody else in the mortgage business? It doesn't. So you need to have focus in terms of your avatars. Once again, I focus with athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and real estate investors. And the language to each one of these avatars is totally different. The conversation is totally different, and the problems are totally different. And this allows me to connect with them and speak that language. So these are some of the key factors, guys, in terms of being able to scale and grow any business with micro-messaging. Now, before I get to the last segment of the show, let me just give you all my social media contact information and resource links. Everything I'm about to tell you is on the website, blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Now, I mentioned at the top of the show, guys, we have all types of free resources to help you move from point A to point B on the website. So go to blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, hit the Learn tab with the drop down, and you'll see several different topics, including marketing, e-commerce, scaling your business, strategy and mindset, and more. So take advantage of the free content on the website. Now, if you want to get in contact with me for anything long, family, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. That's JAYJONES@blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Instagram, I have 2 IG accounts. The first one is J Jones for Real, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. The second one is Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Connect with me also on LinkedIn, guys. Just go to LinkedIn, type in J Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. And also, don't forget Twitter, or X as it's called now, JJones001, JAYJONES001. And also YouTube, guys. I have additional content on YouTube that I do not have on the show. So go to YouTube, search Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, and hit that subscribe button. Also, remember, anywhere you're listening to this or watching this right now, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you'll be alerted when each new episode comes out. We drop every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on all your major podcast platforms and YouTube. All right, real quick, guys, I just want to recap. Today, we talked about how to scale any business with micro-messaging. The money is in the message. Step number 1, identify each avatar you sell to. Step number 2, what problems are you solving for them? Step number 3, what are the benefits to them when you solve those problems? And you want to list at least 3 benefits, and you're going to use that in your marketing. Step 4, create relevant content to attract each avatar. So you want to have a lead magnet because you want to build up your database, and then you want to have a specific call to action. Once they see your lead magnet, what's the call to action? Are they going to go to a webinar? Are they going to download a checklist? Are they going to go to a workshop? Are you going to give them case studies or tutorials? So number 4, create relevant content to attract each avatar. Number 5, and this is super important, guys, build a funnel or sales system speaking to each individual avatar. Not one size fits all. Each individual avatar speaking that language of that avatar. And I think that's one of the biggest drawbacks or setbacks when we talk about micro-messaging. You know, one message doesn't fit all. Okay. Now, I say this each and every week, family, because it's true. We get more and more downloads because of you, the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family. I appreciate you guys so much. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the website, the blog, the online courses, the whole ecosystem designed to elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Remember, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about building an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.